right, well, it's officially a week from the release of The Last of Us on HBO. And I don't think I've ever been more anticipated for anything coming out, at least on a streaming or TV or whatever you want to call it now. Like films, sure, but I've never really anticipated the release of a show before. But I personally feel like when The Last of Us comes out, it's going to be a big game changer for the video game adaptation space, just kind of like how The Witcher did. But that's a whole other video because just the other day they dropped a bit of info about how the fact that they changed one major part of the game and didn't put it in the show, and that would be the part with, spoiler alert, the strange cordyceps mushroom thingies, fungus thingies that exist give off these spores, but they decided to take that part out of the show. So right here we have an actual explanation from show creator Craig Mazin about that decision to change it. Obviously, there were some big changes, big things that we know we're keeping, of course, but then there are challenges from the game to the show that had to be considered. For instance, little things like spores. In the game, there are these where you encounter spores and you need to put on a gas mask. In the world that we're creating, if you put spores in the air, it would be pretty clear that they would be spread around everywhere all the time, and everyone would have to wear a mask, and probably everyone would be completely infected by this point. So we challenged ourselves to come up with an interesting new way for the fungus to spread. But mostly, I think we just connected with the soul and spirit of the game. As a creator of the game, and me, Craig Mazin, as a fan, we were caretakers on behalf of all the fans but also on behalf of all people who haven't played the game, who need a television experience that's holistic and connected to itself and doesn't feel like you need to play a game to understand. So yes, they changed one pretty major aspect from the game where there was always spores in the air, but you didn't wear a mask all the time in the game either. So I don't know. I don't remember that being as huge of a deal. There would just be certain areas of the game where it'd be really bad and you'd have to wear a mask, but not the whole game. So that's a choice that makes sense because for the story, for the world of the show, that just makes more sense in every possible way. So it's not like it's a really big, huge deal. I doubt very many. Well, I'm sure there will be some people who are outraged, who love the games, and be like, "How dare they?" But it makes sense from a show standpoint. But what do you guys think about that change? Like, do you think it matters at all? There's going to be a lot of people watching the show that don't know the games and have no idea, so they're not going to care about those things. But do you care? Because as someone who's played the games and I really enjoyed them, it's not a big deal because I get why they made the change and it makes sense. So it's not a big deal for me personally. But what do you think? Holla at me and let me know below. But here we are, guys. It's only a week away from the release of The Last of Us, and news is constantly dropping. Like every day, there's multiple things coming out. So be on the lookout for this YouTube channel for as many updates as I can possibly come up with in the next week. Because January 15th, HBO is going to premiere The Last of Us. So be there.